You all know my next guest from her early days on Laugh-In to such movies as Cactus Flower, which she won an Oscar for, Private Benjamin, and most recently House Sitter. She's now starring in this week's #1 box office hit in the country, Death Becomes Her. Please welcome Goldie Hawn. Once you have it, you never lose it. How many knew that she used to be a dancer? You knew that? Yes.
Not too many.
Yeah, half.
Not too many, half. I was saying, you know, we do this. You come out, you talk about your movies, and you do all this. But the band is so great, and everybody's so great, that I wish I could just come out and dance, you know? Yeah. Like I used to.
Yeah.
Just get on a pedestal or something and just dance.
See, they don't know about that part, though. They don't know about pedestals and tables and stuff like that. Tell them about some of those dance jobs.
Oh, no. No, it was rough. It was rough. It's how I made my living. I got $25 a night. And that, in those days, you know, if I did a gig, like I had a Friday, a Saturday, and a Sunday night gig, I could get $75, and then I could pay my rent. And that's about what it was. But I used to go dance, and I'd get on little pedestals that were literally as big as, you know, like half of that. And you'd have to stand up and get up on a ladder and stand up and then take the ladder away. And then you were just dancing like this on a thing, you know. and
See, y'all remember Laugh-In, but y'all don't remember this.
One time I had to dance on a table, and that was scary. Because it had just like like 3 legs on it, and one sort of bad leg.
Oh, yeah.
And it was in a truck stop. Oh. And I remember that when I went in, the bartender, like, was drunk, and the man who owned the place passed out. And I didn't know where to dance. I mean, it's really kind of a sad story, because I went on the Greyhound bus, and I was like, you know, wanted to do good. Yeah. And there were like 4 truckers in there, and all they did was put quarters in and play Everybody Loves Somebody Sometime, which is Everybody Loves Somebody Sometime. And I had to like do a dance.
I think one of the truckers is in the dog pound. That's a tough movie.
Oh, God, it was hard. And then I got stood up because I had an agent at the time, and he never picked me up. So about 2 in the morning, when everyone was half dead, I had to hitch a ride with 2 truck drivers because the Greyhound bus didn't run anymore. But that was the kind of stuff that I had to do. And, of course, Mom, you're hearing it now for the first time.
Yeah. It builds character.
It does. It really does.
And it builds other things, too. You still have great dancer legs. And when you stood up, I couldn't help but to notice...
Don't get dirty.
I'm going to be as polite as I possibly can. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to pull a Cosmopolitan quote, August 90. Kurt Russell said...
Oh!
What first attracted him to Goldie was her great behind.
Now,
for all you Renaissance women who are not clapping, the quote goes on.
Yeah.
When we went out, I found out she also had a great mind. There's the other half. Yes.
Oh, gosh, that's Kurt.
Yeah, and you'd read that before, right?
No. That's the first time I read that.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard it.
Well,
and I think that just sounds just like him.
Yeah, he's a sweet guy. He's been here many times.
Oh, gosh, he's the greatest guy. He really is.
What attracted you to him?
Just he's funny and smart and, you know, truly and very, very sexy. But when we met, like sitting down here talking like this, we just connected. You know, he was just a buddy. He wasn't like a womanizer at all. So as a female, you didn't feel in any way put off, like somebody was trying to put the make on you. You didn't get that feeling. You thought, God, he'd be great to go out and have a beer with and just talk. We had mutual friends, and that's what we did. We went out and we had a beer.
That's great.
Yeah, it was great.
Now, you're big in the business, and so is he, and I wonder sometimes how you all make it and keep it together. But let's take a commercial and come right back and talk about that. We'll be back.
like a bird, didn't I?
No.
I look like a bird. I still look like a bird.
No, you don't.
Yeah, a little I do. But anyway.
Okay, how do you keep the marriage together? What's the secret? Help me.
I'll tell you, don't lose who you are, most importantly, because that's how you get lost. Marriage is one of those things that people suddenly think they own each other. Just because the state says it's okay, and they think that God said it's okay, and Mom and Dad said it's okay, and suddenly now that it's all okay with everybody, then you get to sort of turn into one human being. And that's very dangerous. You know, and I talk from experience. So the truth is that if you maintain who you are, what you want to do, you don't get in each other's way. I would never want to change Kurt for a million years. There's lots of things about him that I wouldn't want to do or behave that way. But that's the way he is. And that's what I love. And I don't want him different. We try to change people, and that's where we get into trouble. So I think if we just keep strong, keep who we are, let that person behave badly, but try not to get sucked into that, you know, and get baited into arguments, that kind of keeps things okay. You keep respect for each other.
Yeah.
Very important.
You should write a book.
Yeah. I don't know if I ever would, but it works. Yeah.
Do you remember, I was at the Ivy one night with Dawn Steele.
Yeah.
And you walked up to say hello to her, and I was the guy at that table. Do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do.
I just want, could you tell that I was a fan trying to pretend like I wasn't?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. You know that thing where you play it off, you know?
Well, you were so sweet, and you know, when it was just such a quiet sort of hello, and I was very impressed. 'Cause I just adore you. I mean, you have such a joyful soul, and
I was trying to be nice but be cool, because I didn't want to, you know, you don't want to say, "Oh, Goldie," you know, because that's not cool. So you say, "Oh, hi, how are you?"
I know, but I do remember that night. I surely do.
And you had dinner with George Washington long time ago.
No, who was it? Who
George
was
Bush.
It? George Bush. Oh, not that night.
No, some other
no.
night. Some other
I was
night.
going to say, I was never at the Ivy at the Shore with George Bush.
And they would never let me in the restaurant if he was eating.
No, that's true. That's true. I did not, no, I did have dinner with George Bush. and we had a fun time.
What's he like?
We did. I'll tell you what. He is, and, you know, here we go. We all have our where we stand politically. Mm-hmm. He did say to me, he said, one of my closest friends is a Democrat. But he is, you know, in a party that isn't my party, doesn't believe in the things that I believe in, or stand for them, or support them.
Now, what issues, for instance, like?
Well,
I'll let you say.
You're so political. There are lots of things, and I think basically it's just sort of an overall tendency. I'm much more, I'd say, benevolent in the way I feel about humanity as a group belonging to the same, you know, the same group of people. You know, we are all one, and I don't believe that there's enough attention being paid to the fact that we all need, I guess, we're, what do you call, sort of lonely children sometimes. And as a government, I think that the president probably has to assume that he is adopting a nation of children who need guidance and help and a sense of security and well-being. And I'm not sure that in this particular administration it has really made us feel, oh, positive and confident that we can do it. To be an American has always been to have this ideal that America is the greatest, and no matter where I go in the world, I love to come home again because we're an optimistic people. We're a nation with possibilities, and over the years I've felt that that's been undermined by these various administrations. However, George Bush was a fabulous man to have dinner with. He had a tremendous sense of humor. We laughed a lot. He talked a lot about things. I felt he was very uncensored. You know, and it's a pity because he is just another human being. He happens to have a set of values that, we all somehow don't agree with. And he also sort of has this vice president that, has made a lot of mistakes. And he, too, is just human. I mean, I'm sure I would have made those mistakes, too.
I mean, potato sounds like the word toe would be at the end. You know? T-O-E.
Well, it's a mistake under stress, I would imagine, that, one could make. Yeah. However, being lumbered with those kinds of things, I must say that I thought he was a really, really nice person. And, and I don't particularly fully agree with all the things that he stands for within our government.
Yeah. Okay, we have to take another commercial. We got to come back and talk about Death Becomes Her. We'll be right back with Goldie. This movie has opened very well. And why do you think people have embraced it the way they have?
It's a real good question. It's a movie about something. It's vastly entertaining. It's very funny. It's also ghastly. You are horrified just after you've been stupefied, just before you've been laughing yourself silly. Yeah. It has so much in it. And at the end of the movie, really, it's the kind of movie that you go have coffee afterwards. You know how you say, darn, how many movies are there that you say, hey, you know what, I don't want to go home. I want to go talk about this movie. Yeah. I want to go scream about it. I want to argue about it. I want to find out what you think about it, because it's very controversial. And so there are a lot of reasons why it works. And the fact that Meryl is brilliant in it, and Bruce is really fantastic in it.
Meryl Streep, Bruce Willis.
And that Bob Zemeckis directed it, who is by far the best director I've ever worked with. All these things all put together can't be bad.
You know what? Also, the studio did a great job tempting us, because when I look at the trailers and I see you with a hole in your stomach, and you see Meryl's head spin around and nothing shoots out of her mouth. Whew, thank goodness. It's just, what is this about? I got to go see this thing. Tell us about the plot. What is it about?
It's a very, very difficult plot, because it's just all over the place. But the main thrust of it is that Meryl Streep is an aging movie star, very vain, very successful, on the way down. My character is a frumpy writer, introverted, lost every man I ever loved to this woman. I invite him into the dressing room of this woman. I'm very nervous. She steals him from me in a jinnit, and my life turns to...
Yeah.
So, at which point then I gain a lot of weight, become diabolical, maniacal, and a very scary, plotting murderess, and I then come back to take revenge. Now, while that plot is going on, which is sort of the thickness of the plot, you cut to this Meryl and my husband, who is going to be, and she has destroyed his life. She's vain, she's had several facelifts, she's aging, and she's miserable and angry and hostile and just. And when I come back into her life, it sets the plot into motion. And then she and I become great rivals. And I try to plot her murder, and before you know it, you got to go see the movie to see what happens.
Well, did you have a hard time getting the role? Because it doesn't sound like you. It seems like they would have put you in the other woman's position.
Well, Meryl and I talked about that. She said, well, God, I thought you'd have the role where you were singing and dancing and all that stuff. And, I think Bob, as, wonderful, inventive directors are, they use their actors differently. And each one of us is playing against type. And that's what's interesting about this movie, is that they're not going with type. They're going against type. And I think that his hunches were right. I really do. I think he made some real good casting decisions.
Okay, we have a clip, and I'll let you all take a look at your monitors. You at home, keep watching your TV. Okay, now you... I didn't want to interrupt you, but you mentioned at the outset of the plot conversation that you get fat or you get big. How did you accomplish that? That
was, well, I tell you what.
Biscuits? No.
Why don't we take a look at this and then we'll find out.
Okay, let's look at the other clip.
Are we ready?
Yeah, we got it. Sandy, let me see that other one. I guessed it. Biscuits?
Talk about a lead-in.
Gee.
How did she get so fat?
Yeah.
Icing. That was what she ate. White icing. That was a tough one, you know. I mean, as any prosthetics are, because Bob Zemeckis said, you know, Goldie, get ready to be irritable, hot, long days, and all that. And, of course, I was primed and ready. But I'll tell you, it was 3.5 hours in the makeup chair in the morning. And to get in that suit, you had to lay down like this, and they had to sort of get it on you. And that suit itself weighed about maybe 40 pounds. It was just brilliantly constructed. But it had to jiggle when you walked and all that. And they made up my hands and, you know, so it took a fair amount of time. And it was very hot, and they had to put a hose down in there. So I didn't, you know, have to jump out of it. Because once you start perspiring in it, you go quick and you get hot fast. So then you want to rip it off, and you can't. So they cooled me off pretty good with some little thing in a tube they walked around with. It's a little obscene.
Has your husband seen this movie yet?
Oh, yeah. We're going to see it tonight, too.
Okay, but what did he say when he first saw his wife pigged out like that?
Oh, he loved it. In fact, he took pictures of me and he showed it to everybody. You know, he was making a movie. Yeah. And he showed it to everybody, which I thought was just awful. Who do you think this is? He'd say, who do you think this is? Kurt is great. He gets very involved, as I do, in our careers, because we just love what we do. And he gets all excited, you know, if I get to do something different. And Bob is a great friend. So he just prayed. He said, oh, Goldie, he said, because he worked with him in used cars, and he said, I just hope that one day you get to work with Bob. He is just the greatest director. And I said, you know, honey, I mean, he's one of our best friends. I doubt whether that day will ever come, because somehow it just doesn't. And sure enough, this movie came up. And, you know, it just happened, and we're just so happy.
When he was here, he talked a lot about how you all share your work, you show each other scripts, you critique honestly.
Yeah, oh, very honestly. Just awful.
I know one of the reasons for your smile and for your happiness is obviously you're in love and you have this man in your life. But as long as I've known you, you've seemed like the kind of person that, you seem like this person that has this inner secret, this happiness. And is there a secret?
No. I think you're born with joy. I think we're all born with joy. Little babies don't come out and don't have a center of joy. We have a tendency to forget about it as we get older, and we forget to contact it. It's always there. It never goes away. You're the same person you were when you giggled with your mother. That giggle that you felt when you looked at her face and you just felt so good you could burst. That doesn't go away. You just have to try and remember where it is. And I think that's something that I've never wanted to lose. It was a personal choice. And when I was a little girl, people used to say to me, what do you want to be when you grow up? And honest and truly, I said happy. I'm sure they thought I wanted to be something great or movie star or whatever, but I never did. I just wanted to be happy. And when I came to Hollywood, the one fear that I had, because I had one casting couch experience where my mother had to talk with me beforehand because she had kind of an inkling. And the only thing with all these promises that this man said that I would be able to have if I, you know, was that I'd become a big star and I'd have what I wanted and I thought I could buy my mom wall-to-wall carpeting and all this. But the fear of being a big star and being unhappy and cross-connected and all screwed up, like everybody in Hollywood, I really, second thought, I thought, maybe I won't go to this interview, you know? Yeah. So really, losing that center of joy is a tragedy. And it's something that I wouldn't forfeit for anything. And you have that, too. You always can recognize it in somebody else. And you own that beautiful feeling of happiness inside of you. I see it all the time. And you thank God for that, you know?
Yeah, because that's what it's really all about. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Stay happy. Continued success to Goldie Hawn. Go check out the movie.